record over here. Welcome to our week 6 lecturing class. Okay. So welcome to our lecturing class for digital visualizations over here. So this is basically a week 6, which is this week I actually have been evaluating and also been reviewing your submission for our last second what we call that exercise, which is I'm actually feel quite very happy and also grateful with all those several of those exercises that you guys have done. Okay, so congratulations to all of you guys, okay, for your participations and also your commitments on this exercise there, right? So I feel very what we call that grateful and also happy with all those results. Okay, so that means basically this exercise basically is one of the tests. I will give you guys some experiment, what we call that test for you guys to develop that, right? So you guys can saw my screen here over here. So what basically I saw from all these kind of submissions, I would say that, right, I would give this kind of what we call that 2 of these exercises becoming one of the first assignments, there, guys. Okay, that means we have only another 1 assignments left for us to develop into our submission for the whole semesters there. All right, so before we're going to go through with it, okay, I will basically give you guys some basics kind of what we call that lessons and also basic kind of what we call that understanding on how to develop animations there. Even though you guys can use Procreate or any kind of applications to work with it, but what I'm actually going to give you guys right now, we are going to work with Adobe Animate or Adobe Flash. Okay, but in our class there, okay, in our sessions, intranet page, which is
no, so I want to ask, are you showing something? Because we're currently looking at the classy page.
Class page there. What is it? Which one there?
Right now we're looking at the your staff intranet. Are you showing something else?
Wait up there, right? Check back again. Oh, screen 1 there, right? Okay, thank you very much there. Thank you, Sean. Alright, I just click make it the second kind of screen over here there, right?
Yes.
So now you guys can see that, right? Okay, so last Monday, okay, even though I can't have the session with group 3, okay, because of I have to pick up basically my mom and also my daughters there. So if you take a look back again over here, okay, you guys can see some of the sample of your friends kind of what we call that submissions there. So I really feel grateful about it, okay, and I have give some of the informations and also tips, okay, and also something that we actually can improvise from what we saw from these videos there. So for the rest of you guys who think, or maybe on Monday they later on for group 3, if you guys want to have some sort of like some discussion back again to your exercise or whatever that we guys can improve there, okay, we're going to share with you guys later on there, okay. So make sure you guys preparing basically some of those attire basically for our Monday sessions, and we're going to see how it actually works from there. But the thing is, right now, starting from next week, okay, next week we are going to start to work with those Adobe Animate or Adobe Flash, okay. But I'm using Adobe Flash at the moment there because I want you guys to look into the concept of this animation itself. Yes. Okay, so you guys can see my screen right over here. So I will put the screens over here at first so I can see your page, and then I'm going to open up Adobe Flash there, okay. So if you have any questions, okay, we'll give you guys later on then back again. So if you should look back here there, okay, if you don't use basically any kind of tablets there, okay, it's hard for you to design basically your characters over here. Okay, when you open up basically Adobe Animate or Adobe Flash later on, okay, even though For me, though, okay, nowadays, if I take a look back again or Adobe Animate there, right? Shi, are you open up your mic there, Shi? You open up your mic there, right? Are you having something? No, right? Okay, Shi? Okay, good. So if you take a look, okay, one of the things that I love about all applications there, okay, because they're very kind of direct, kind of what we call that tools that we have here. But when I actually try to explore back again Adobe Animate in our classroom there, okay, for me basically there's a lot of complex and add-in kind of what we call that application or tools there, okay, for us to explore more. But I'm going to try to share a bit more kind of direct and simple kind of way to animate first the characters there, okay. So even though there's a few number kind of principle, step and methods for you guys to understand about the concept of animations, okay, if you want to become an animator there. But I want to give you guys also some good examples there, okay, what basically I've done for my design, okay, for my own design as a designer, not as animators only there, okay, because I came with these two different disciplines, all right, I think more than one discipline there, right, okay, which is I have been working before. But when I start basically working with Adobe Animate or Adobe Flash at that time, or Adobe Macromedia Flash there, okay, I've learned basically the basics kind of method, how to animate first. What are the things that we need to understand, okay, when it comes to develop our motions here. Oh. Alright, so how actually we're going to connect it with our motions there, okay? So what basically we can do right now, basically when you open up your document there, right, your Flash document or Adobe Animate document there, okay, we can basically click OK over here, okay, for examples. But I already set up basically my page. Let's just say if you're going to animate this kind of page first, normally, okay, we can actually change into this more document that size there, right, okay. Hopefully Adobe Animate are going to have the same kind of what we call that methods of workings over here. So if you check the look, okay, if you want to have a high resolutions, okay, size, you guys can see from here, so not showing there, okay, wait up, okay. So normally guys, okay, when we actually going to open up basically our screen, okay, for half kind of HD resolutions, I'm going to use 1920, 1080 kind of size resolutions there. Alright, so that means they're going to be 19, so I'm going to click this 80, 1920, sorry there, 1920 times 1080 kind of size there, okay. This is going to be the width, and it's going to be the length there, right, okay. That's basically what I'm going to do there, right. Okay, this is the size of your screen, okay, for the normal kind of presentations or for any kind of films or movies there, okay, or TV there, okay, that we're going to use, okay, or YouTube there, okay. But normal kind of what we call that landscape kind of format, okay. But let's just say we're going to change the document there, okay, from 1080 because we're going to use some landscape portrait kind of format there, okay. Right here. So I'm going to change that. Okay, simple kind of what we call that methods of working there, right? Okay. So one of the good things about, okay, these applications, okay, or any kind of application, okay, is all about the frame rate. Okay, this is basically a timeline there, okay. Timeline, there's also a frame rate over here. Okay, you can change basically on document property. Maybe animate going to be have different kind of what we call that features that we actually can explore there, right? Okay, the frame rate is 25 frame per second. 25 frame per second there, right? The FRPS there, okay, for the normal kind of motions. That means 1 second equals to 25 frames. Okay, 1 second of animations of motion. But it doesn't mean we need to draw 25 drawing there, okay? Sometimes we are going to divide 25 to maybe 3 or 4 different same drawings, okay, into those 25 frames there. Okay, why? Because they're going to be depending on the timings. Animation is all about timing there. Okay, it's all about timing there, guys. Okay, I'm going to show you guys some of the samples, whether you guys actually have seen that before or not, right here. Where is it? Okay, some of the animations that I've done that before. Okay, one of the simplest animations that you guys can actually take a look right here. Let's just say like this one there, okay. I only have 3 different frames. Okay, 3 different frames there, right? So if I look them up, they're going to be look like this. But if you take a look at these 3 different frames, one of the reasons the frame rate is very slow there, right, okay, because I changed from 25 to 5 frames per second there. But this one only for GIF animated, okay, GIF animated kind of frames rate there, okay. If I want to make like a more normal kind of what we call that frame rates, I'm going to change, okay, I'm going to add another frames from each drawings. Okay, each drawings I'm going to add at least around, okay, let's just say that, okay, if I change it to 25 frames right here, like a normal frame rates, okay. So take a look at the animations there, okay. I can click enter to animate there, right, to see the motions there. I saw the screen quite delayed there, okay. Is it the animations quite fast there over here there, guys? Because I saw from my Windows screen there, right, okay, which is I actually have recorded using OBS. It kind of slows there. Let me check that again. Oh yes, faster, right? Okay, great. So this is what happens there, guys. This is what happens over here if you actually use only one single frame for every movement there, okay, in 25 frames. So what you're going to do over here, we have to extend them up. F5 basically to extend them, okay. If I actually add another 3 or 2 frames for every movement, all right, this is basically the layers, okay. We have 2 different layers that we use there, right? Because in these animations I'm going to use every single movements one single layers there, okay, using one single layers there, okay. So if you look at these animations over here, which is I have been grouped. Okay, this drawing they have been grouped there, right? When I double click them, I actually have been grouped most of those parts, which is I can change anytime that I want there, right? Okay, double clicks that I can change. See? All right. So the type of animation style that we're going to use right now is a pose-to-pose animations there. Okay, pose-to-pose animations style there. Okay, remember the name there. Okay, pose-to-pose animations, which mean from one pose to another pose, they have a different kind of pose that can actually apply the motions there. Okay, will show the motions of any actions that you're going to work with. All right, so they can loop if you want to. Okay, we can loop those kind of animation if you want to. See the difference between one drawings each frames or 3 drawings each frames or each motions there. Okay, they make more different changes there. Okay, the concept is the more drawing that you add in each frames, the more slowest motions are going to be. Okay, but it all depends on actions, the actions that you're going to, individual actions, or what we call that single kind of actions that you're going to apply from those motions. Okay, that's the thing there. Okay, when you talk about this kind of motions over here, it's all about the pose itself. Okay, the pose itself there, right? That's the thing there, okay, that we're going to do, that we're going to apply. So one of the things, okay, if you have some complex kind of characters there, make sure you actually join, or maybe you can actually group some of the parts which is obviously we actually can use to make different kind of motions. Okay, to make different kind of motions. So that's why when design those characters there, okay, you must be able to understand which part basically you're going to join together or which part you're going to move around that emotions there. And you have to plan also what kind of motions that you're going to apply for your animations there. You have to imagine those kind of motions there first, or you can act those motions here to work with it. Okay, so one of those motions which is, okay, let's just say like a running motion for example there, okay, like a running motions there. Our main objective of this exercise or this kind of, we call that lessons, is all about to create some animated GIF there, okay, animated GIF. So for example, if you want to check a look, okay, how actually I solve some of the running motions over here. Okay, this character that I created, okay, if you check look basically, okay, even though I try to simplify this design, okay, but I can basically add also a few number kind of details, right, especially, all right, some of the details that people always ignore, like this stubble of those beard there, right? See this one, I group some of the things there right here, some of these more, all these kind of what we call elements there, right? The nose, I actually write group, okay, these elements only, so I can actually write move around if I want to. Okay, I can move around there, and I'm using 3 for most of my animations kind of poses, because it will give more impact on our presentation instead of using front view there, guys. Okay, so 3/4 view is one of the safest and also more appealing kind of what we call that angles or positions that you guys can portray your motions there. Okay, a little bit more appealing there, okay, rather than you use side profiles or you're going to use front view, depending on the situations there. Front view can be basically a part of those very kind of what we call that straight to the point, kind of what we call that motions that you're going to apply, okay. But I always recommend that you guys, if you're going to start to design your characters or you want to animate those characters there, please start with the 3/4 view there, okay. So if you take a look at these motions over here, running motion there, okay? Make sure you understand, okay? Left, when the left hand, back of the left hand, okay, are going to be moved into those back there, right? The front legs, okay, for example, like this one, okay? I make some mistakes over here, front mistake, right? But if you see the movements, is look right there, okay? It seems look right, okay? The crossover between left hand, also the right legs. Crossover there, okay? The same cannot recall that positions. So when I actually click basically this kind of motions in 4 frames, is more than good enough for you guys to, or we can actually portray the kind of motions that we want in 25 frames there, right? In 25 frames per second there. Right? See? So the trick is, it's all about how you are going to portray basically the pose itself. Okay? The concept of those motion itself, right? Get you work with it. Okay? Alright. So only in 4 frames we can actually portray the what we call that, the more what we call the presentation of this motion itself. Okay, properly. Alright. Check it. Okay, this is a right, this is left hand. Basically this is a right legs there, okay? When the right legs go into back there, right, okay, the left hand also going to go back to make it the balance of this motion itself there. Okay, so talk about design itself, right? Okay, if I want to design my new characters there, okay, let's just say we have a few number kind of design that we have. So I would suggest for you to sketch few number kind of ideas there before you go to apply them back. So if you have a few number kind of sketch that you actually can start with, what you're going to do, okay, if you click back again like Adobe Animate or Adobe Flash, okay, we have the brush tools over here. Alright, brush tools. Brush tool, we're going to use a lot to draw, and we have also the size that we can change over here. I think the tools for Adobe Animate are going to be on the right side. Okay, these are going to be the size or the type of those brushes there, which is I rarely basically use. Okay, normally I'm going to use this brush, this kind of type of these brushes there, but I'm going to use pressure strokes there, okay? Use pressure stroke and change the size there. Why? Because I want to have this kind of what we call that a quality of line in between of my drawings. Even though when I actually sign up my names, alright, my signatures there, we can see the quality of line over there. This is one of the reasons, right? And try not to make your line too thin when it comes to develop your design, okay? Otherwise, if you want to design maybe your characters using basically a very single shapes with shadows, that's a different kind of what we call that way of approaching basically your styles, okay? But for me, I would love to use a lot of very thick kind of line that to work with it. Okay, take a look over here. Most of my design in Adobe Animate at the moment, or Adobe Flash at the moment, right, I'm going to use a very thick kind of line. One of the reason is because we can basically have a very solid, bold kind of what we call that characters there. Okay, like this one is basically, okay, I always use a very simple kind of what we call that styles there, but they will give more kind of what we call that excitement kind of feelings when you look at those designs there, okay? And we actually can explore more on the motions at the same time. Okay, we can explore more on the motions at the same time, guys. That's basically also one of the things that you have to bear in your mind. Okay, I designed a few number kind of durian there before. Let me check that, right? When I sketch my ideas over here, I don't know where they actually still, oh, here, right? Okay, oh, Oh, not this one. I thought I have it already. A few number kind of durian there, right? I don't think so there, right? So if you take a look at this one there, right? This design over here, a bit more simple kind of design, like a children's kind of drawings, okay? But what I actually have planned there, okay, I can animate this one, okay? And if I want to, what we call that, move this kind of motions there, right, I can rotate them over here. But this kind of rotations doesn't work well for the motions there, right? So what I can do, right, I will change basically the anchor point over here there, right? And then I can rotate them up. See? Okay, very simple kind of motions there to work with it. A very simple concept, which is, I saw some of your friends actually have been exploring these animations there before. Okay? So that's why I feel quite very grateful to see all these kind of motions there, okay, that you have from there. Okay? So a very simple kind of what we call that characters like this, you actually can create a very nice kind of motions there to work with it. So you need to have only a sense there, okay? From now on, try to watch some of the cartoons from Cartoon Networks or any kind of GIF animated there. Try to study and observe basically how they create this motion, how this motion were made in the finishing kind of what we call that looks there, okay? And then you actually can apply back again into your works there. And of course, in this kind of task, my kind of way of working, right, I never actually have some too ambitious kind of motions there first, okay, in order for me to learn the concept of animations there. Okay, for example, before I'm going to draw new characters over here, okay, let's just say this kind of motions there that we have. Open up new files over here. All right, if I want to animate this one, okay, what I can do, I can actually change, okay, from here, this is the first frame there, okay, of these motions. Okay, what I can do from here, let's just say this is not a first motions that I want to create there, okay, this may be, I want to make these characters, what we call that, greeting, basically make some greeting kind of respond there, right, okay. What I can do, I will put this one at the 5th frame first. Click and move there, okay, click and move into 5 frames. Alright, the first frames, okay, we're going to do some indication of 5 frames of drawings there, okay. Okay, this is basically what you can apply here. Okay, this is the diagram of your motions. Plan the motion in 5 drawings only there, okay, to complete the motions there, okay. The first one are going to be, and the 5th one are going to be your key frames. Make sure you basically understand about these methods of motions there, right, frame rates there, okay, of motions there. These are going to be called key frames, okay. The first key and the 5th key is going to be the, this is a frame guide, okay, the frame guide. Alright, this is your characters there. Don't forget to save your files there first. Let me save my files over here. Okay. Okay, use this diagram basically to understand about the keyframe, okay. This is basically, alright, okay. Lock this one there first. Okay, this is the 5th keyframes. These are going to be the first keyframe there, okay. Check the right, the selections over here. Alright, the first keyframes, I'm going to change basically the motion itself, right. Okay, what I can do, I can select the whole thing first. Going to use Q for transform, okay. The shortcut key for transform is Q there, right. So what I'm going to do right here, I'm going to rotate a little bit this kind of body there, okay? Select this one, rotate a bit there, okay? Rotate into the left side over here. Okay, like this one there, see? But if you want to make it a bit more precise, change the anchor point, the center point into in the middle of the bottom there, right? And then you can rotate there, right? See? There. Alright? But I need to move a little bit over here. And this one there, right? Okay, this part also, right? I'm going to rotate a little bit. See? There. Alright? Then I have to move a little bit right here. Because this guy basically almost a bit more like a robot a bit, right? So what I'm going to do, oops, not going to be changed over there. This one also, right? I'm going to, this baby basically using a suit there, right? So I imagine basically this baby wearing a suit. So what I'm going to do over here, I'm going to bring this kind of hands, arms basically, okay, to back there, okay? So what I'm going to do, because I have using basically one layer only there, okay? So from these methods, your imagination is really important there in order for you to understand where basically you're going to put all these kind of parts or limbs together there, okay? So I'm going to arrange, send you back there first. Okay, these hands also there, this arm also there, right? I'm going to rotate there and put it right here. Sorry, right. Oops. Okay, rotate right here, right? Okay, well, group them up here, and then there, right? So the positions has to be important, right? The proportions has to be important because this is your design. For example, there, right? So you must be able to understand the motion there, see? The first motions, the first frames, key frames, and the fifth key frame there, okay? That we can do from those motions there. So from these methods of 5 key frames of guide for your animations there, okay? The 5 key frames kind of drawings or 5 key frame kind of methods there, okay? 5 key frames of method there, okay? It will give you more kind of controlling on your motions. So that's why when you start to animate your characters, think of that you actually can animate and complete your motions, one single motion in 5 frames first. Don't think too much, okay, about the fighting scenes or whatever that first, okay? Even though when we want to work with fighting scene there, right? We are going to use only 5 frames to indicate the motions, okay, for your characters. If you cannot actually animate the whole the whole kind of what we call that plan of your motion in 5 frames, don't try to imagine to draw those complicated kind of motions, alright? So that's the first rules there, okay? Only animate the whole animation in 5 frames that is. If you can complete in 5 frames, then we actually can extend the frames, or maybe we can improvise or reuse the motion to make a loop. Okay, to make a loop back again. So what I can do from here, when I have my first drawing and 5th drawings there, okay, that I actually have been completed, right? See, one of your friends actually just doing this kind of motions only there, okay, for the presentations there that I saw from one of your submissions there. So what we can do from here, we'll try to create the in-between there, okay? But this is not in-between there, okay? This is going to be, we call a middle keyframes. See, where is it? This is the middle keyframe there, right here, okay? This is the middle keyframe. So I'm going to extend basically or create one of those frames over here, okay? Alright, these are going to be the middle keyframes there, right? Mid keyframes, okay? Keyframes there, guys, okay? So from here, if we check, look, if you want to see the motion itself, In adult animate or adult flash, okay, we have basically one of the features we call onion skin. Okay, onion skin is a transparency kind of frames there. We as animators use a lot of this onion skin if you want to draw post-to-post animations and to see the post itself directly. What we can do, we actually can right click to this onion skin, then you can see basically the motion is there, okay? See, the whole motion is there using this onion skin there, right? So what I can do from here, from this kind of onion skin kind of features, I can basically select this part first, for example there, alright, then I can rotate them back according to, okay, what kind of movement we actually can work for the third frames there. Okay, so I'm going to rotate a little bit over here, and also the arms also there, okay, I can actually rotate right here in the middle keyframe there, right, middle kind of motions. Same goes to this part there, right, see, alright, so the legs, this part also I can rotate a little bit there, see, to create the motions there, right. So when we close the onion skin, you guys can see the motions there, right, see. Yeah. If you check look basically, okay, the leg itself, okay, the leg move a little bit towards to the left there, okay, right over here, okay. What I can do from here there, right, I can change basically this part to be right here to make more logic, but I will rotate a little bit there, right, okay, this kind of legs become a bit more higher, and I can change basically the alignment over here there, right, okay, to make it better for those motions. Maybe rotate a little bit there. Maybe I'm going to extend a little bit there, stretch a little bit. See? Can you see the changes over there? So by using our own design, we can make those changes there, right? Logically in those motions there. That's why when it comes to animate the characters there, when we want to design the characters, when the first thing that you actually have designed your characters, you must be able to imagine what kind of motion that you probably are going to be used to animate them. Alright? If you don't have this kind of ideal of working with it, it's hard for you to, of course, to animate lah. Okay? That's basically the thing that we have to plan when it comes to animation there. Animation is all about planning there, guys. Okay? Okay. Take a look at the diagram of 3, 5. See? 1, 3, 5 there, right? Okay. One, 3, 5 there, right? So I'm going to use these kind of indications there for you guys to see the difference there, right? 1, 3, 5 there. Okay, the indication of those frame rates there, huh? See there, right? These are going to be your keyframes. The first keyframes, the fifth keyframes. These are going to be your middle there, okay, keyframes there, right? Okay. So when you have this kind of motions over here in 25 frames, if you take a look closely there, okay, you can control the loop there, okay, of this motion there. Click to control and loop there, right? You can loop them up there, see there, right? The motions there, right? But in one single motion, in one single frame, not only that, that's why they look fast a bit like that, right? So what you can do later on, we actually can extend the frames there. Before we extend the frames, it's time for us to think about those in between. Okay, so what I'm going to do from here, okay, I'm going to add another frames, and these are going to be the middle there. Okay, these are going to be the second, what we call that frames, we call in between. All right, IB there, right, in between, right. Some of the production they call different kind of names there, but what I've learned and what I actually practice, I use basically IB as a part of those name for these frames there, right. So what I can do from here, in between kind of motions there. Okay, so this is basically some selection tools, just like any Adobe applications there, right. So when I want to add what we call that selected, basically those areas, okay, normally in PC we can actually use control to change, B for brush, control key for basically to change those tools there, right. Okay, so what I can do from here, I can make another motions there, right. So what kind of motion that I can use? Okay, the normal motion that I can use right now is to make some rotations. Okay, like that. Is it? Change back again, circle back again, the motions there. Oops. Change a bit over here, and this one also I'm going to rotate a bit there, see, and this part also I will group them up first, send to back again, so I will make the motions a bit more smoother right here, right. Okay, only use rotations there to work with it. We're talking about a very simple kind of motions there to work these kind of animations there. So the fourth frames, basically the fourth frame there, right, what I can do from here, I'll just continue basically the rotations there, right. So that's why when I actually design these characters, I already know basically what kind of motions that I'm going to use, okay, to develop this kind of motions there. Maybe I'm going to rotate a little bit here, this little baby there, right. There. So by right, the animation become more smoother there right now. But I really not satisfied with it, okay? I'm still not satisfied with this kind of motions. Okay, this is going to be the next frame rate. Okay, fourth IB there, right? Okay, check it there, right? This is the frame rate there, okay, of guide. Only 5 drawings for the motions there, see? But I'm not satisfied with it because why? Because this legs doesn't look, it look like a dummy directly. It doesn't work anymore directly. So the mechanical of this kind of what we call that motions, normally there, right, we need to basically move a little bit on these legs directly to make it more believable there, rather than just become a dummy directly for the whole motions there. What I can do, right, from the second kind of frame rate there, right, I will basically make this kind of legs change a little bit, those kind of motions there, see? And the next thing is, what I can do, right, you can see the changes there, right, see? Make the legs become a bit more alive there, right, okay? See? Because when the body rotates, and this leg should be rotate together, right? Or maybe move a bit there, right? See, simple kind of, we call that gestures of movements will make a lot of change on your design. Okay, see, so the whole body become alive there, right? Okay, the whole parts become alive there. All right, a very simple kind of gestures movement change will give more better kind of impact on your design. Okay, so that's why, guys, okay, if you start to work with those characters there, okay, no matter how complicated your design, make sure you guys plan, you can imagine the motions there first. Okay, that's the things there, guys. Okay, that's the tips there, right? Okay, always plan basically the motions there. So right now, do you have any questions about the motion itself there before I'm going to design new characters there, just to show you guys how actually I design new characters there using those brushes there. I just want to give you guys some simple concept of, because I know basically most of you guys actually have designed your characters there, right? If you seem want to test and try first your design, go ahead there, right? Okay, before we're going to work on Sunday, on Monday there. So from here, do you have any questions before I'm going to make change on the frame rate, speed for the motions here? Do you have any questions? Easy there, right, to animate those characters there if you actually plan those kind of parts together when you come to design your design, right? Okay, when you design your characters there. Any questions there, guys? All right. So I try to basically give a bit more direct kind of way of working with your characters using the tools there. Okay, hopefully you guys can actually work on it later on. Okay, very simple motions, but now the important thing that you have to do, okay, how are you going to make the loops there, okay, first. Okay, the way that I'm going to make the loops is a very simple kind of way. I'm going to copy these frames, put it right here using alternate there, right? Click alternate for PC there, okay. I'm going to loop these frames there, right? Only 3 frames that I'm going to loops, and the first drawings that we actually have done there before there, okay, they're going to be looped around together there, okay, circling all those motions there back again, see? Unless you want to make a whole a bit, okay, the frame going to be whole a little bit, you actually can copy the first frame there at first. Okay, check, look over here. Okay, I try to make a very simple kind of frame rate. Okay, it's not some kind of what we call it, some animators or some of the productions there, they love basically to animate in every single layers there. It will give a bit more confusing for the animators, especially independent animators that you work together with your works there, right? So my kind of what we call that tips or tricks that I use normally there, right? I will basically make all these motions become one of those symbols or in the libraries there. Okay, so whenever that you're going to make some changes, you actually can regroup back again and make new kind of movements and make a symbol back again. One of the reasons I put into these libraries there, because I have this kind of situations that before there, right, when I actually design the characters without making into a symbol, for example like this one, let's just say I'm going to make into symbols, or convert into symbols. F8, click F8, or maybe you can use also this part, okay, this kind of tools there. Select all those design, create, modify into symbols there. Alright, where is it? F8, sorry, convert into symbols there, okay? Convert the symbols, graphics, not movie clips. I don't know whether Adobe Animate they're going to use there, okay? They're going to have more kind of what we call that symbols, kind of what we call that type there, right? But for my experience, or for my kind of working kind of experience, I'm going to use only graphics. Let's just say this is robot scenes number 1, okay? Frame number 1 there, right? So when I actually have saved this design into libraries, if there is some sort of like virus kind of attack or infections right on the files itself there, right, or especially on those working areas there, normally in our graphic symbols are not going to be affected. That's basically one of the reasons why I create into a symbol there. So let's just say this one, I'm going to click F8, robot number 2 there, okay, frame rate, okay, you actually can name there, right? F8, robot number 3, R3, we have 5 there, right? F8, 4, and this one, alright, F8 and 5. Okay, the looping cannot be called motions. If you want to make this what we call it, you can actually reuse basically the same kind of what we call that symbol if you want to there, right? Okay, for example, like this one just now there, right? I can just copy back again using basically okay, alternate and copy back again into the frames there. Okay, it's what I say, okay? Adobe Animate or Adobe Flash basically is quite direct kind of features that we actually can use, especially when it comes to develop the motions there, okay? But of course, every different kind of what we call that. Okay, this one basically right here, I can actually delete there. Just select and delete. See? So the motion is set, alright. So when I loop them up, okay, using 25 frames per second there, you can see basically the motions a bit kind of what very smooth there, okay, on those rotations there. Okay, but if you want to make those motion more slower or more smoother there, right, what you can do from here, you can actually close the frame rate first. I can actually extend the frame by using F5, okay, into 2 frames there first. Alright, 2 frames for every single kind of motions there, right? Extend into 2 frames there, right? So you guys can see the different kind of motions there, different kind of speed of motions there, guys. Okay, alright. So back in the day when I actually start to learn to animate all these characters there, right, my kind of what we call that eager there, okay, my kind of what we call that mindset there, okay, I love basically to see a very quick kind of result on the motion for my characters. Okay, that's basically what I have basically practiced there, okay. I will basically eager enough to look into those motions there. I feel excited to see all these kind of motions quickly there, right, when I design those characters there. But if you check, but as far as actually have been developed all these kind of works there, okay, I will start to be more what we call that, be more patient there, okay. To have more kind of what we call the time to think about the motions consistently there, okay, and give it more complex kind of motions and make it more interesting, okay, to develop this kind of way of working there, right. For example, like this one there, okay, when I actually animate these kind of motions over here, okay, this kind of two different kind of motion there, right? Only two layers there, guys. Two layers there, okay? One of these layers for these characters there, and one of it is this one there, right? Two different kind of motions, two different kind of speed there. I'm using the same kind of method that I used basically to animate that robot boy characters there just now, right? The baby boy robot characters there, right? But the difference is every single motions that I did have a different kind of poses. Okay, different kind of poses there. Okay. But again, if you check it there, right, how actually I work with this kind of motions, I actually going to portray my design in 3/4 view there, right? See, 3/4 view there. And my designing, and when I design the characters, I try to make these characters look more flexible and dynamic for me to create those motions. Okay. Even though when I actually design his walk cycles only 4 frames, right? 4 frames, but it looked believable for 4 frames only there, right? Okay. So always simple design is more better than this complex one, okay? But still have to be look appealing, right? Okay, when you design them, right? Okay, those are the things there. Running sequence, only 4 frames there, if I'm not mistaken there. But I changed basically the speed effects directly on those drawings there. I want to show you guys, okay, this is some of the test motions. One of the test motion that I did when I actually have designed these characters in the first place. I do some random kind of motions there. Okay, random kind of motions there to work with it. And I have basically some, this is basically the frame rate that I use to animate the characters there. From 5 frames into 9 different kind of drawings there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. This is what we call the gestures kind of poses there. Okay, if I'm going to animate that. Check it there right now. Okay, this is the motion that I did. Okay, I'm using the guideline there to work on that. So this is how actually we can actually plan back again the motion there. If you cannot actually imagine what kind of pose that you're going to use for your characters, I would suggest for you to design this kind of gestures kind of pose there. That's why gesture drawing really important there, guys, okay, when it comes to develop the motions there. Then when I actually have this kind of guideline, then I'm going to use them to copy this kind of guideline back again to my drawings, okay, to my character design. Okay. Right, any questions so far? Any kind of inquiries there? So this one using what? 1, 2. Okay, this is basic, okay. That's a basic, okay, the different kind of way of working with this kind of motions over here. 1, they bend the knee for the second drawings, bend another directly to give a bit more impact, and I squash and stretch a little bit on the characters here, see? Stretch and squash a little bit, okay? I have given you guys some sample videos on the stretch and squash and principle animation, right? I'm using that kind of principles in this animation. That's why they look very impactful when it comes to develop those kind of motions there. Okay, so when you start to animate your characters, just like this one, like durian characters there, right? Durian is very hard, sharp, bold kind of characters there. But how we as actually designers and also animators there, right, we can make these characters look more flexible there, more dynamic there. Okay, well, it's all about your creativities lah. okay, to work with it. I actually have designed a few number kind of characters that based on this durian, okay, but I don't know where basically I put it, right? The same design, is it? Okay, this is my characters there. Okay, my kind of characters. Some of the motions there, using pose to pose and stretch a little bit. Some of the ghost characters there, alright? So we can do a lot of design that guys from here. Okay, to make it more interesting on our presentations. What else there? We can actually work on it. This one isn't very simple kind of walk cycles, but not quite interesting there because I want to show the student how it works there before. What else there, right? Okay, this is some of the poses of the characters and expressions. Okay, when we design the characters there, okay, one of the main kind of what we call the importance way to understand about our own design, we have to design a few number kind of expressions there. Okay, expressions that to work with it. There's a few number kind of designs, characters there. The what we call that model sheets that we call from here, and I designed a few of my styles of designing those ninja turtles there, right? Okay, so when we actually think as a graphic students there, right, you actually can design your own ninja turtles there if you want to. Okay, run test. Okay. Okay, running kind of test there, right? Okay. Check look how actually I designed the leg without any kind of limbs or legs there, right? Okay. Foot and a floating kind of foot with legs there, right? So this is all about how to skip some of the difficulties when you want to animate your characters. Okay, when you want to animate those characters then. Okay, so I test a few number kind of motion from here. So those are the things that I've been working on there before. Right, hopefully they're okay. These samples of the simple motion will give more understanding how actually you're going to design them back. Alright. This is a few number kind of characters that have been created there also there, right? Okay. Alright guys, if you don't have any questions, that we catch up with this kind of design works there, right? So for me there, okay, if I want to make our lessons this now, before this, okay, when I want to design the characters over here, start with a very simple kind of shapes like circles there, right? Is it? Circles or square. let's just say I'm going to start with this kind of circles like this. Alright, so I will group them up at first. Alright, group them up. So what I'm going to do over here, so I can design also the characters. Okay, put the eyes over there using the colors, put some highlights, groups, select them, group them up, Control G for group there, right, and put it right here. This is the base of my design, for examples over here, right here. If I want to make this design, if I want to multiply these ideas over here, okay, what I can do, I will duplicate. Okay, think about two different kind of chibi styles there, right, of this design. So what I can do, I can double up there, right, duplicate that first. Maybe this one I can actually write just a little bit on those body there, right? Okay, maybe like this one there, right? Huh? So what I'm going to do for this design, okay, depending there, okay. So what else there? So if I want to add some colors there, guys, double click. All right, paint. Hopefully, right, okay, our basically journey to work with those Adobe Animate not that kind of complicated there. So I will draw some highlights over here. If I want to test the characters there, right, normally I'm going to duplicate them, right? So I'm going to use those pencil tools there, the color that I get from strokes. I will design basically the shadows. Shadows there, right? Shadows, see, right? If I want to make different colors here, okay, duplicate there, right? I can change it using different colors there, right? Maybe we can start with using color swatches there, okay, first. Guys, sorry there, right, just now maybe I just clicked something there, right, but I already record the sessions, don't worry here, because I'm using OBS to work with it. So let me share my screen there. So I'm using basically OBS to record the sessions over here. Take a look there right now. So I think there is no problem for me to what we call update back the game later on there, right, okay, and put it into my YouTube there to work with it. I think I just basically just clicked something else just now, okay. Those are the things that I see from here, okay, to work on that. So take a look here, okay. If I want to make some changes on those colors here, there, right, I can easily basically use, all right, double click from the group itself to change the colors there for my design. If from here they basically, okay, if I want to make the same kind of what we call that design, depending there, right, I can use this one. I love basically to play with all these kind of ideas together there, guys. So what I can do, I can add basically those colors over here, send it to back, and then logically, right, okay, the shadows should be fall off right here, right, should be fall off right here. there. Okay. Alright, so this is basically one of those, also one of the challenging about designing the characters, guys. If you want to make some shadows, you must be able to understand the logic of the shadows there. Okay, where basically the source of light that you actually apply for that, because we're going to use a very what we call the standard kind of way of approaching our design there. First we have to lock basically the shadows and the highlight at the same time, that would make the characters look more believable there and solid at the same time. Okay, from here, yeah, now we actually can start to think about maybe the animations there. To make a very simple animations, guys, what we can do from here, okay, I will show you guys there, right? Okay, I'm going to add new layers there first. I don't want to mix them up. So to animate the characters is easy there, right? Okay? Group them up. 5 frames there, right, of drawings. So what I'm going to do here, let's just say that I'm going to make these characters jump over there, right? First frame, second frame, first frame 5 frames, third frame are going to be, okay, add another frames, F6, onion skin, okay, onion skin there, right? So what I can do, I will make this character jump over here there, right? See, this is basically the end of the frames there. So simple kind of methods I get to make the characters jump. So what I can do, the second frames I'm going to squash those characters there. See, squash. Alright, and the fourth frame, normally F6, I'm going to make the characters ready to fall over to the same place, but I'm going to stretch a little bit there. Stretch. Okay, see, you see the motions there, right? Very simple kind of motions there. From here we actually can add more kind of what we call that motion to make it more smoother there, guys. Okay, more smoother for those motions. I'm going to loop them out there first. You can see the motions over here, right? So what I can do, I will extend basically this frames, maybe from 2 3 frames there, right? First, okay, 3 frames, every single drawings. See, all right, you have the motions there, right? So from these 5 different drawings there, okay, we can do a lot of things there, guys, from here. For example, I want to make sure that the third frames that I used just now, I can add more additional kind of in between. So what I can do, I can actually extend more on the frames, but when these characters jump over, okay, on the top there, right, I can actually stretch a little bit there like this, or maybe I can actually make the stretch look like this a bit there, right? See, and then I'm going to add another additional frames from here, additional frames, make the characters jump a little bit more higher, but this time I'm going to squash a little bit here there, okay? See, to make them more dynamic impact there, right? Only using 5 frames just now there, right? And from here, okay, the second frames, I actually can extend basically how actually they launch basically the motion itself there, right? How I will make these characters there, okay, squash a bit more, lowers there. See, this is what we call the dynamic kind of motions there, right? Okay, just like when you want to jump there, okay? See? But this time I want to make a bit more higher a bit, using basically those onion skin to see the motions there. Alright, this is basically your third frames. The fourth frames right here, we can extend back again, do more additional kind of frames. What I can do from here there, right, the additional frames, I actually can extend a little bit, squash a little bit, and make it more lowers there, because there's a gravity kind of impact on the whole object there, okay? This object is, take a look here. If you look these motions there, right, take a look here there, right, because the whole motions that change. And you can extend more and more on this frame there, okay? You can play around with this kind of frame until you satisfy the whole motions there, right? Okay, from this, the last frame, right, the fifth frame there, right, what I can do, before they're going to be rest into the same positions there, right, I can actually squash these characters, okay, when they actually loose into the ground, okay, what we call that, close into the ground there. Alright, to give more dynamic kind of gravity, weight of these characters when they jump there, right. Okay, this is one of those simple kind of way for you guys to learn to animate frame by frame there, and give also more dynamical kind of understanding how to play around with those principles, other than you actually can learn bouncing balls, right? Okay, we can learn also using bouncing ball later on there, okay, if we have times, but I just want to give you guys a bit kind of example how to animate more effectively using a very simple characters there, the concept of animations. Okay, the concept of animations there. You want to make these characters look more impactful there, right? Simple there, guys. You can add some shadows, okay, using basically racking circles, for example right here. But my shadows, our shadows doesn't have those. We don't have to put those outline lah, okay? So make sure that you guys, okay, when you try to design something, don't design shadows have outline, unless those basically one of the style that you're going to use there, right? So a lot of, maybe some of the students basically too straightforward there, okay, when I actually want to design the shadows, I'm going to use also outline there, okay? It all depends basically on your own styles there, but for me, the more efficiently okay, to show basically the contrast between object and shadows, the shadow doesn't have any outline, huh? Alright, so make sure you guys understand basically the concept of design itself there, okay, to work with it. So now, take a look over here, the shadows, not too dark. I will group that out first. Then I'm going to change the shadows kind of sizes there, okay, by using scale. See, transform there, right? When the object is basically too close to those floor, I will adjust basically those shadows there. The shadows are going to be changed there, see, to make it more logic there, guys. When they jump over there, right, the shadow become smaller, okay. This is the logic there, guys, huh? Then when the shadows when the object become higher, they get more higher there, right, they become more smaller there, okay. more smaller there. See? 1, 2. So you can use also this kind of shadows there to copy back again. This part, maybe, right? Okay, adjust a little bit, and this part you can use also the same shadows to combine them back. Check it out, guys, how the shadow will give more impact on the gravities of your character design. Okay, there's a lot of things we can explore from here once you actually understand the concept of working on it, guys. Okay, so to design characters, sometimes it doesn't have to be too hard there, okay, for you guys to develop. Of course, okay, when you start design as a part of your exercise, you always think about all this kind of complex way to work, because it's a part of the process you develop the skills here. But when it comes to animations later on, oh guys, okay, I just get the information from Dr. Mai. Next week is postponed for our photo shooting there, okay. Our CCM are going to be informed before they come there, okay. So next week, you guys can wear like usuals there, right? But not too sexy there, guys. Okay. All right. So make sure they're okay. That next week, please basically like just wearing as usuals there. But yeah, if you can wearing proper, more better there, right? Okay. So guys, okay, girls, next week doesn't have any photo shoot. They will inform us first before they're going to come there, okay? Maybe there's a lot of there a few number kind of things that they have to take care of first there, okay? All right. So, anyone have any questions on the animations there first? The concept of animations there? Any questions? Any kind of inquiries? So I don't know whether you guys have seen some before. I also design a few complex kind of characters there first, but I always love to play with all these kind of characters like this, very simple kind of design, because they give me more freedom for me to animate the characters there. Those are the things there, right? But I have this kind of what we call the styles of characters there with the different kind of background that I use. Did it before. Okay. So, but this background I'm using Photoshop there to work with it. Okay, Photoshop to work with it. Some animated kind of motions there, using the same kind of what we call that ideas of using those rotations, stretch and squash there, okay, without having a lot of problems to change the positions there first. Okay, learn the concept of animating them. Okay, from here, right, okay, as usual, you guys have seen that before. Okay, I can actually design all these characters in one simple characters right here. I can make the characters become a cat if I want to. Alright, groups the out first, right? Like this. Then I can actually use this part over here to make those characters' ears, for example. Oops. Color them up. and this area is basically where we actually can add the shadows. Maybe this one, right? Okay, there, double click the strokes, you can delete that, right? Okay, to blend them up, those ears there, make it small a little bit. I can actually duplicate them, right? Maybe I can actually rotate that first. Need to make some changes over here. Maybe I can make some changes there, right? So if I want to make some changes over here, there, right? Of course, this design, okay, this kind of ears doesn't work well. Or maybe I can actually change the colors there first. Rotate, scale. This is the process of designing that back again. This part basically I have to change there first. Okay, to make it more blending there, right? Then we can think of how actually going to redesign those kind of things. Okay, let's just say if I want to create basically the body of these characters there, right? This is what are the normal kind of way people actually will design. So if I want to make some changes, scale them up there first. Okay, to make more look like chibi styles there. Of course, this part there, right? There. Create the shadows there. So from here, one of the reasons I duplicate it, right? I want to show you guys the process of developing those ideas there. Tails. Alright. If I want to create those kind of limbs, I want to make the cat walk like a normal kind of person there, right? Yeah. Easy for me to animate them, right? So where basically I'm going to put those arms there, right? There. Maybe like this. Get the arms up there, right? Modify, arrange, flip horizontals there to rotate. So if you take a look at these designs, they become more balanced there, okay? When I actually scale them up the body there, okay? To make them it become more bigger there, right? What else they can do from here? A lot of things there. So I can actually add basically a nose, right? Bit more bigger, the size, put it right here. Okay. A mouth itself, I actually can design the mouth look like this. See? Group there first, because I can make some changes between mouth and also those nose there, right? If I want to. Yeah. Some of those details that we can actually apply. I can change also the colors if I want to. What color that we can use? More darker kind of what we call the tones over there, and same goes to this one. Okay, yeah. So we can do a lot of major kind of designs changes from one particular kind of shapes. Practical way to work with it. Okay, practical way to work with your design there, right? Even though you can actually design those legs become different kind of way there, right? Okay, I can use also this particular kind of shapes of legs there, right? Okay, what I can do from here, put some colors and the shadows that fall over here. It looks simple and easy for me to do there, okay, but I have my own obstacles there when I come to design those characters there. Okay? See the difference there, okay, between these two different designs, okay, multiple kind of design work there, right? Alright. So hopefully you guys can learn something from here today. Okay, in order for you to do your own executions there, okay? When it comes to develop your works in the future there. So make sure when you design those arms, there has to be balance there, okay? And they will look more proportionate there, okay, when it comes to develop your works there, right? Okay, alright. So thank you very much for having my kind of sessions today, our sessions, lecture class sessions today. Hopefully this lesson will give you more kind of what we call the insight of understanding that how to work with your characters in the futures. Okay, for any kind of GIF animated characters there. So our next kind of what we call that exercise are going to be GIF animated there, okay? GIF animated kind of styles there. Using Adobe Animate, or maybe you're going to use also Procreate there to work with it. I think it's a bit more easy for those who are actually using those Procreate there. Alright. So thank you very much for having today. And hopefully you guys enjoying basically these sessions, which is going to give you guys more understanding inside of animating the characters there. Okay. So I'm looking forward to take a look right here what we actually can work in our classroom later on. And thank you very much. Have a good day there, guys. I'll see you guys around next week. Alright. So you guys can bring over your own laptop if you want to. Alright. So thank you guys. Have a good day. And have a good weekend at the same time there, okay? Alright. Bye-bye. Welcome there, right? Okay, welcome there, guys, okay? See you guys around, okay, next week.